welcome back to Chilled Guitar Reviews, my friends. This is a video of firsts. Not only is this going to be the first review of a headless guitar on the channel, this is going to be the first time I've ever played a headless guitar as well. This guitar has kindly been supplied for review by our friends at Live Louder, the most metal independent guitar shop in the UK. Live Louder specialise in stocking the most cutting edge, heavy metal focused instruments from manufacturers such as Legator, Ormsby, ESP, Ibanez, many more. If you like the look of this guitar, it's available direct right now from Live Louder. Just follow the link in the video description. Now, in recent years, headless guitars have become extremely popular, but they are nothing new. The first headless guitars were designed and released by Ned Steinberger back in the mid-80s. They kind of fell out of favour towards the 90s, and in the early 2000s you really just couldn't find much in the way of headless guitars anywhere. However, in recent times this decade, there has been some really notable proponents of headless guitars, such as Pliny, Aaron Marshall, lots of names in the progressive and modern metal scene. I have never really understood the appeal of headless guitars. I don't really feel any kind of draw towards using that over a guitar with a headstock. Now, having spent a good few weeks with this Legator headless guitar, I can tell you I now completely understand why some of you love these guitars. I actually don't think the appeal of a headless guitar is something you can understand without playing one and maybe even living with one for a certain period of time. This is a Legator Ghost. They are available in everything from entry-level affordable versions all the way up to the top-of-the-line X series, which is what I'm lucky to have in my hands here. They do them in 6, 7, 8 string, and very soon, I have heard on the grapevine, they're going to be releasing a 9-string headless guitar as well. Now, regular viewers of the channel will know I am a massive fan of Legator guitars. I have simply bought loads of them and loved every single one I've owned in my recent years of playing guitar. And so when I spoke to Live Louder and I said, look, I think it's time I reviewed a headless on the channel, I simply could not refuse the opportunity to review another Legator. This particular instrument, being the X series, is the top of the line Ghost model they offer, and so the materials and the specifications of this guitar are just mind-blowingly good. So we have an ash body with a neck-through construction, a 5-piece neck, Fishman Fluence modern humbuckers, we have stainless steel frets, we have an absolutely jaw-dropping California Buckeye burl top on this guitar, and each Ghost model that comes with this top is totally unique because obviously tops vary between pieces of wood. On that same theme, this guitar also has a Pale Moon Ebony fingerboard. Pale Moon Ebony, again, every single piece of this wood is unique, so no two guitars with this fingerboard and this Buckeye burl top are going to be alike. Rounding off the package, we have Luminlay side dot markers, but as a bonus on top of that, we also have Luminlay offset dot inlays and a Luminlay L logo on the 12th fret. Now, as if that specification wasn't spoiling me enough, this guitar also comes with a gig bag. What's funny is this gig bag actually looks hilariously small when you first receive it because obviously it's meant for the headless shape, so it's a cute little gig bag, but it's exceptionally high quality, very nicely padded. These are among the best gig bags you are going to get supplied with mass manufactured instruments. What's what's the build quality like? Well, I hate to be boring, but unfortunately, once again, I have been sent just a stunningly built guitar. I have played 9 different Legator models at this point. I own 4 behind me. I have never played one that's built poorly. And besides the usual build quality things that you judge a guitar for, cavity quality, fretwork, those sorts of things, this guitar does all those things very well, but the one thing this guitar absolutely blows everything else out of the water with is attention to detail. Now, this instrument is manufactured in Korea. I really rate South Korean guitars. I think they are probably the best price to quality trade-off that you can currently get in today's guitar market. But man, the attention to detail on this guitar is just, I am still finding things on this guitar weeks after having taken the delivery of it. The Buckeye burl top on this guitar, hands down, this is the deepest, most richly detailed burl top I've ever seen on a factory produced instrument. Even on the reverse of the guitar, there is really tastefully done visible grain underneath the blue color. This finish is called Galaxy. There's also a bunch of different finishes available, all with these tops, but with different color combinations. The Pale Moon Ebony board, again, the detail and the striping and the kind of variations in grain and color, that extends to the side of the fingerboard as well. I really like the way they've left it exposed and not added binding or anything like that. The fact that the L logo at the 12th fret on this guitar glows in the dark, that is again like kind of a hidden Easter egg. I didn't know it glowed in the dark. This guitar is currently retailing in the UK for 1600 quid. Looking at what some of the other manufacturers can offer nowadays for £1,000, i.e. not much, some of them, I actually think this thing's a bit of a bargain for the standard of build you're getting. I know that may sound bizarre, saying that about a 1600 quid guitar, but I really just think you're getting so much for your money here. You know, they could have gotten away with just having an ebony board on this. They could have gotten away with not adding a color-coded Tessie LED kill switch, and nobody really would have complained. I just love things like that, where you look at it and you go, they really didn't need to do that, but they've really gone the extra mile. Now let's really delve into ergonomics. First and foremost, people will generally choose a headless instrument because of weight savings. And you may look at this thing and go, well, the only thing that's really missing is the headstock. You know, how much weight can that realistically save? I thought the exact same thing, but having spent time with this guitar, this feels miles lighter than a version of this guitar with a headstock. I actually happen to own this guitar, but the version of it with a headstock. This is my Legator N6X, and I've owned this for a while. I believe this was the first Legator I featured on the channel, or maybe that was an 8-string. I don't know, go back and watch both reviews either way. Holding these two up, this guitar feels less than half the weight of this guitar. Now, even though on paper this isn't half the weight of that guitar, I think what's contributing to that is balance. The balance of this guitar just feels like there's only weight in the body and just no weight in the neck. So that surprised me. The weight difference with a headless guitar feels far more dramatic than you may think it will, given you're just looking at weights on a piece of paper or a spec sheet. Second of all, size. Now, this could be perceived as a plus and a minus. This thing feels tiny. I know it's only missing a 6-7 inch piece of wood off the end of the neck, but my God, this thing feels so small. And the jury is still out on how this thing looks. I think this looks maybe a little bit ridiculously small on me. This probably wouldn't be my choice for a stage or performance guitar for a music video or something along those lines. I'm a 6-foot bloke, I weigh about 95 kilos if that helps give you some sort of reference point, but just watching back some of the footage of me playing it, I do think this thing looks very small on me. that could be a tremendous upside. Now, certainly in terms of using this as a sofa guitar in my living room just for noodling. Equally, if you're somebody who travels, this is just the perfect travel guitar. Like I said, the gig bag is tiny. The size difference with this thing is far more dramatic than you probably will expect it to be. Something Legator have always done well is extremely slim body profiles and extremely slim neck profiles. This is a 16-inch compound radius fingerboard, and this particular Ghost has a very slight multi-scale to it that you may not even notice on first impressions. This is a 25.5 to 26.5 inch scale fingerboard. Now, for you guys who like to use non-standard tunings on your 6-string guitars, this will be ideal because it's just enough to give you that extra bit of string tension on the bass strings, but it's not so much of a fan that you would really even notice, I don't think. Also, something I've noticed about Legator guitars, and I don't really hear people talking about this, but this makes such a huge difference. All of their guitars that I've ever seen come with medium-sized stainless steel frets, which is actually quite unusual for a metal-focused instrument. Now, on paper, extra jumbo stainless steel frets, they sound like a great thing. They'll last forever. They will happily support heavy string gauges, that type of thing. But in my experience, I so prefer medium-sized frets. They are just more comfortable. You can achieve a lower action with them without fret slap and without ridiculous amounts of string buzz. For me, it's made such a huge difference to how much I enjoy playing my Legator guitars. Just to illustrate what I'm talking to you about, here is this Legator Ghost 6X next to my Solar A 1.7. See what I mean about the guitar on the left looks like it's got railway sleepers for frets, and on the right you have these much more delicate looking medium jumbo frets. Now, tuning stability. Look, a headless guitar could not be more different from a standard headstocked guitar. You tune this guitar at the bridge for starters. I have found this guitar to be exemplary with tuning stability, and having spoken to a number of headless players, both bass and guitar, this is just anecdotal, but they tend to find their headless guitars stay in tune better than their headstocked guitars. Now, some valuable feedback that you guys have given me when I posted that I was reviewing this guitar is that you do find string changes to be quite fiddly with these headless guitars. I haven't had to change a set of strings on this guitar yet, but perhaps it's something to bear in mind that it looks to me like there is a knack to changing strings with these types of guitars, maybe in the way that certainly the Evertune bridge requires a little bit of a different approach when it comes to string changes. The bridge of this guitar is quite similar to a hip shot bridge in that the string is directly mounted flat against the body. Headstock wise, there is still a nut, but the string just goes directly into a string holder. It does not wrap around a tuning peg. There isn't a string tree. So I think that's actually a positive in terms of there's no potential for ringing of the strings on the headstock, which is a problem I encounter when playing high gain stuff. Now, when I found out I was getting sent this guitar for review, I was very excited. I began researching headless guitars and what people's experiences had been. And the most common feedback I was seeing from people was how different they felt their headless guitars sounded. They do sound surprisingly different to their standard counterparts. Now, whilst I don't feel like I'm able to show you that difference fully in these playing demonstrations, what I can tell you is think of it in terms of this. Imagine for me a spectrum of how guitars sound acoustically. On this end of the spectrum, you have a Les Paul, a massive slab of set neck mahogany, ballsy, dark, thick sound, a lot of low end, maybe a little bit of a muddy sound. On the other end of that spectrum, all the way up here, you have a Telecaster. Super bright, snappy, lots of high mids, not so much low end in there, very crisp, bright sound. Now, this headless guitar for me sits a step further that way. This is one of the brightest, snappiest, most resonant guitars I think I have ever played. There is certainly less low end than you would probably expect from something with a neck through construction and an ash body, but the sound is just so unique, it's so snappy. Because of that, the clean sounds you can get out of this guitar are just so damn spanky and clear sounding. And equally, the high gain stuff I'm playing on this guitar, there is so much clarity to all the riffs and the chords I'm playing. You know, some of that may be down to the pickups. This is a set of Fishman Fluence Moderns, which we are all quite familiar with by now. They are very clear, very bright pickups, huge amounts of output, no matter what voicing you're using, really. I tend to stick to voice 2 on these pickups, which is the passive voicing. Still gives you tons of output, but just that same clarity without kind of too many push frequencies. Now, having had this experience with this guitar, I actually am starting to suspect that the lower down the note registers you go, the more sense this type of sound is going to make. For example, a 7-string multi-scale headless like this, tuned to drop A, with that brightness and that note clarity, that is just going to be such a crushing sound. And I may just have something like that on its way to me now, based on how much I've enjoyed this guitar. Stay tuned. So look, if I can sum this up for you, the ergonomic differences with this guitar, the drop in weight, the drop in size, it's far more dramatic than you may think. And in terms of having a guitar around the house to travel with on the living room sofa, this is really something unique, and it does that job just so well, and it's incredibly comfortable and light. You guys with back problems, this thing's just going to be a revelation for you. Tone-wise, again, the differences are far more dramatic than even I anticipated. This particular example, the Legator Ghost 6X, man, do I think this thing is worth the money. I actually think this looks like and plays like a far more expensive guitar than 1600 quid, especially in today's climate where I've reviewed a couple of guitars on this channel where I've just looked at the price and gone, really? Is that £1,000 guitar? Really? What do you guys think? I would love to hear from some headless players out there. This is my first experience with a headless guitar, and I am so impressed that I may have something else on the way that's going to be a little bit more of a keeper for me personally. Have you found the ergonomic and tonal differences to be as dramatic as I have? Do let me know what you think in the comments below. At the time of doing this video, we are only a few days away from the live draw to win a free Ibanez RG guitar. If you haven't, please go and enter. Entry to the competition is totally free, and you can do it by going to the announcement video for the competition on the channel, which I'm going to link here. Massive thank you to this month's Buy Me a Coffee donations from Mike, from someone, I'm assuming that's an anonymous one, from Patty Purdue, from Jared, and from Ray Jr. Thank you so much for buying me a coffee. If you would like to support this channel financially, I would really appreciate it, no matter how small your donation may be. Do check out the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. I'm not saying I've bought myself a headless guitar based off this review, but if I had, it would already be on its way to me, and if I had, I would certainly be doing a chilled review of it when it arrives, so do keep your eyes out for that one. In the meantime, until the next chill review, do take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.